Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rakha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Numbers, the 21st chapter. And when King Arad of the Canaanite, or King Arad the Canaanite, which dwelt in the south, heard tell, so when he got word that Israel came by the way of the spies, which this is a name of a path, right? It says spies, but when you look at let's look at some of the other wordings of it, as it says, the road to Atharim, which I believe when you go into that is what translates to spies. Then he fought against Israel and took some of them prisoners. So it doesn't necessarily mean that this is a path that only spies took, right? But when he heard this, that they were coming up, as it says, he fought against Israel and took some of them prisoners. And Israel vowed a vow unto the Lord Yahweh and said, if thou wilt indeed deliver this people into my hand, then I will utterly destroy their cities. And the Lord hearkened to the voice of Israel, and delivered up the Canaanites, and they utterly destroyed them and their cities. And he called the name of the place Hormah. Let's look into that word, Hormah. All right, Charama. It says devotion. Okay, devotion, devoted, devotion. And if we take a look here, see if that shows. Okay, we're not seeing that yet. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. All right. Continuing on, verse 4. And they journeyed from Mount Hor by the way of the Red Sea to compass the land of Edom. And the soul of the people was much discouraged because of the way. So it was a long path because they had to go all the way around. Okay. It says here, and the people spake against God and against Moses. Wherefore have ye brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? For there is no bread, neither is there any water. And then our soul loatheth for this light bread. So they said, there's no bread, there's no food, there's no water, and we tired of this manna. And the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people, and much people of Israel died. And the fiery serpents is going into venomous serpents. Okay, when you look up the word fiery, it's describing the poison. Sharap says here, fiery serpent, poisonous serpent, fiery from the burning effect of poison. Okay, so he basically sent them snakes upon them, and they were biting them, killing them. Wherefore the people came to Moses and said, we have sinned. Oh, we have sinned. We have spoken against the Lord and against thee. Pray unto the Lord that he take away the serpents from us. And Moses prayed for the people. So the serpents were basically just, you could say there were a lot of casualties, right, from death by these wild poisonous serpents. And the Lord said unto Moses, make thee a fiery serpent. So this was a brazen replica or image of the poisonous serpent, and set it upon a pole. And it shall come to pass that every one that is bitten, when he looketh upon it, shall live. And Moses made a serpent of brass and put it upon a pole. And it came to pass that if a serpent had bitten any man, when he beheld the serpent of brass, he lived. And this serpent of brass is also symbolic, okay, as it it's symbolic also of Yahushai, right, and how Yahushai being raised up, and really all those that would believe on him, okay, seeing him and believing on him would live, or would have that life. In fact, let me see if I cross-reference this verse. I believe it does lead us to one of those. Let me see, is it? Let's take a look here. Looky here. Yeah. Verse. See, John 3 and 14. John 3 and 13. And no man hath ascended up to heaven, but he that came down from heaven, even the Son of Man which is in heaven. And as Moses lifted up, see, as, that's the similitude, that's the comparison, the symbolism. As Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness that we're just reading about now, even so the Son of Man must be lifted up, that whosoever believeth on him should not perish, but have eternal life. Just like how those that believed in looking up at the serpent, well, they would live, and they did, right? Even if they were bitten already. Verse 10, and the children of Israel set forward and pitched in Oboth, and they journeyed from Oboth and pitched in Barim, in the wilderness which is before Moab, toward the sun rising, that is toward the east. All right, so here we are. All right, okay, oops. Okay, so at this point they're going around, and they're the wilderness before Moab. Okay, so they're probably somewhere around here. All right, there we go. It says, from thence they removed and pitched in the valley of Zared, which is right here. And from thence they removed and pitched on the other side of Arnon, which is in the wilderness that cometh out of the coasts of the Amorites. For Arnon is the border of Moab, between Moab and the Amorites. So if we look here, we have Moab, and Arnon is over here. Wherefore it is said in the book of the wars of the Lord, what he did in the Red Sea, and in the books of Arnon, and in the brooks of Arnon. So, basically, there might have been, well, we know what happened with the Red Sea, with the parting of it, but it doesn't mention in detail what the Lord actually did over there in the brooks of Arnon. But, as is mentioned here, it was written in the books of the wars of the Lord. And at the stream of the brooks that goeth down to the dwelling of Ar, and lieth upon the border of Moab. And from thence they went to Beer, which is the well, whereof the Lord spake unto Moses, gather the people together, and I will give them water. So they made their way to the well, right? Well called Beer, where the Lord told them, hey, bring the people here, I'm going to give them water. And of course, with them being happy about that, then Israel sang this song. Spring up, O well, sing ye unto it. The princes digged a well, the nobles of the people digged it, by the direction of the lawgiver with their staves. And from the wilderness they went to Mattanah. And Jake, they'll turn everything into a song very quickly. Reading this in another translation, it says here, sing of this well which princes dug, which great leaders hollowed out with their scepters and staffs. Then the Israelites left the wilderness and proceeded through Mattanah, and from Mattanah to Nahalil, and from Nahalil to Bamoth, and from Bamoth in the valley that is in the country of Moab to the top of Pisgah, which looketh toward Jeshimon. Let's see if that's on here. Okay, it's probably more north of here, but they've cut this image off here, so that's a problem. It says here, and Israel sent messengers unto Sihon, king of the Amorites. So let's see if we can find one of these here. This is Numbers 21. Numbers 21 map. Okay. Okay, clearly we're not using that. Okay, maybe. Yeah, we might be able to work with something like this. So we know there's some, they're past this area Arnon, right? So they're likely somewhere around here, because as you go, you have Ammon right over there in that side. So long story short, they sent messengers unto Sihon, king of the Amorites, saying, let me pass through thy land. We will not turn into the fields or into the vineyards. We will not drink of the waters of the well, but we will go along by the king's highway until we be past thy borders. And Sihon would not suffer Israel to pass through his border. But Sihon gathered all his people together and went out against Israel into the wilderness, and he came to Jahaz and fought against Israel. And Israel smote him with the edge of the sword, and possessed his land from Arnon unto Jabbok, even unto the children of Ammon, for the border of the children of Ammon was strong. And okay, it doesn't show it in this one. It doesn't show it in this one either. Yeah. Okay, maybe it's in here. Let's take a look. All right, there we go. So from Moab, they came up. We have here, okay, these are the names of the different regions. The river Jabbok. All right. Okay. And Heshbon over here and Jahaz over here. Okay. So as we're reading, it says here, so they went up to the border of Moab because, they stopped there because Ammon was fortified. And Israel took all these cities, and Israel dwelt in all the cities of the Amorites, in Heshbon, and in all the villages thereof. And Heshbon is in this area over here. For Heshbon was the city of Sihon, the king of the Amorites, who had fought against the former king of Moab, and taken all his land out of his hand, even unto Arnon. So Sihon basically had defeated a previous Moabite king and took that territory for the Amorites. So when Israel came up in there and defeated Sihon, then we got it for ourselves. Wherefore they that speak in Proverbs say, or another way of saying, wherefore it is said to this day, come into Heshbon. This is describing the account of when the Amorites, led by Sihon, took or defeated that Moabite king and took their land. Come into Heshbon, let the city of Sihon be built and prepared. For there is a fire gone out of Heshbon, a flame from the city of Sihon. It hath consumed Ar of Moab, and the lords of the high places of Arnon. Woe to thee, Moab! Thou art undone. O people of Chemosh, which was the god of the Moabites, he hath given his sons that escaped and his daughters into captivity unto Sihon, king of the Amorites, which is to say that Sihon prevailed over them, taking them captives. We have shot at them. Heshbon is perished, even unto Dibon, and these are cities in that region. And we have laid waste even unto Nophah, which reacheth unto Medeba. And that's basically what's said concerning that account of them being taken over by the Amorites. Thus Israel dwelt in the land of the Amorites, and Moses sent to spy out Jazer, and they took the villages thereof, and drove out the Amorites that were there. And they turned and went up by the way of Bashan, and Og, the king of Bashan, went out against them, he and all his people, to the battle of Edrei. And that's what we're seeing over here, right, in this region here of Bashan. And the Lord said unto Moses, fear him not, for I have delivered him into thy hand, and all his people, and all his land, and thou shalt do to him as thou didst unto Sihon, king of the Amorites, which dwelt at Heshbon. So they smote him, and his sons, and all his people, until there was none left of him alive, and they possessed his land. And that brings us to the end of the book of Numbers, the 21st chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Recha Kodesh. And until next time, Shalom.